Okay, what I'm going to be doing in this video today is going over a few different things on how we're going to make our coil pots inspired by Native American basketry. So we had previously went over in class that the myth behind the invention of clay stems from prehistoric times and basketry. It was said that decorative baskets that were originally lined with clay, so they would go in and actually push the clay into the whole entire basket. Now one day it was left too close to the fire. The basket burnt away. However, the clay stayed, it hardened, and that's how a lot of people think that ceramics was invented. We are going to be modifying this a little bit. We're going to be making a decorative coil bowl similar to a basket, and then we're going to be smoothing the clay on the inside so that we can make it nice and functional. I have a variety of forms that we're going to work with in class. You guys can pick what you want to do. However, I chose this clear one because I thought it would be best for this video. Now, the first thing that we're going to want to do is we are going to want to create a barrier between the bowl itself and the clay. So I'm going to go in, and you're really going to want to push this down, kind of like wrap it underneath, but making sure that it lines fairly well with the form. You guys could go ahead and like tape it down a little bit if you want to as well. However, I think it's fine just as long as you have enough space and it's not pulling too tightly so that you could push the clay into all the different areas. Coils. Now, in the past, we have used coils, but we use smoothed coils. In this pot, we're going to be using exposed coils, and we're going to be using them to create a decorative form, and then we're going to be, like I said, smoothing it with clay. Therefore, you guys might want to come up with some kind of sketch. I came up with this little sketch I started working on the different types of coils you might want to use. So going through this video, I first want to go over how to roll out a coil. So you could take any piece of clay, I'm going to smush this back together, and you really want to compress it between your hands. This is going to be getting rid of any of those air pockets so that when we go to roll out the coil, it's going to be nice and cylindrical. Start to create a cylindrical shape. I feel like this is a little bit too large to start for a decorative coil pot, so I'm going to go in, I'm going to take a little bit off. And as you're rolling out your coil, if you find that you have too much clay, just rip a piece off and then we'll continue on. So remember, you're going to need a lot of space on your table for this. You're going to start with your fingertips and you're going to roll out from the center all the way to the outside. Now, something that sometimes happens with coils is they'll begin to flatten a little bit. If you feel like your coil starts to flatten, just pick it up, kind of pinch it back into a cylindrical form, and then roll it out again. Because we are making these decorative and we are going to be exposing the coils, you're going to want to make them fairly thin so that you have enough space to get a really nice, beautiful decoration. So that would probably be like the approximate thinness of the coil. I'm now going to go in and I'm going to show you a variety of different things you can make. The first one being these little spirals here. Now, you can make them large, you can make them small. However, I decided this is going to be one of the first things I am going to incorporate into my clay style basket. All you're going to do is you're going to just start by rolling the clay in. And when you get to an end point, you're going to go in and you're just going to kind of smush it and try to get approximately the same size. We want to make sure that we have a nice radial balance in these. Those of you who had elements of art, intermediate art, should understand radial balance, which means it pretty much starts in the center and then evenly spreads out all the way to the edges. So working with radial balance in these will make a really nice decorative pattern. And I'm just gonna make a few more of these. I'm gonna make one a little bit bigger, and I'm gonna make that my center. And you guys can make your center whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be how I'm creating it. So first things first, I'm going to take my bowl. I'm going to determine approximately the center, and I'm just going to kind of push that in. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to attach these. Now, they're not going to attach on their own. We're gonna have to go and we're gonna have to use a little bit of slip. Now, I don't want you guys to go in and score these just because then we'll get some messy lines going on. However, I do want you to take some slip and really water it down and use a paintbrush. I just took some dried out clay and just mixed it with a little bit of water. Now, anywhere that you want to add your next shapes, I'm gonna use them on the flat side here, and I'm just gonna paint a little bit of slip on. I'm going to go inside my basket, and I'm just gonna start to push the forms together. I'm gonna carry this around the whole entire way until I complete my basket. Now, you'll notice as these connect, you start to get some pieces. As we go in with our coils, you guys can kind of wrap them around those pieces. You could do a variety of different things to fill in. We will want our whole entire basket filled in before we go in and smooth the inside part. So that's the general idea of starting to attach these forms. It is in the center, however, it doesn't look quite so with the bag. You'll be able to notice on your own one. Different shapes of coils you can make. We already went over the small twists, and you guys can overlap them if you want. You could really play around and get a very interesting design. The next thing you could do is you could go in and you could almost create these swirl type patterns. And all I'm doing is bringing these up and around and then attaching them. And it's hard to get a really long, thin coil to make enough of this to go around your whole entire piece. So you might want to work with this in small sections and then eventually go in and attach it. But this could be something really fun to play around with. You can also do this on a much smaller scale. However, I just wanted you guys to be able to see that pattern. Another thing you could do is you could go in and you can make some twists. Now, I wouldn't recommend doing necessarily braided coils for this because we are going to be pushing it flat against the form. But you could make some twists by just going in and wrapping the coils around each other. Now, you want to be nice and careful when doing this so that they don't break, especially if the clay is getting dry. You could even go in and smooth it out a little bit with your finger. And really take your time when making all of these coil pieces because they are going to be exposed. This is going to be primarily what you're going to be seeing on the outside of your bowl, and all of the little cracks and things like that will be seen when we're applying our stain. So making sure that they're as smooth as possible so that they just show the decorative detail that we want. So that would be an example of a twist. You guys can also go in and you could just make some little half circles. So going back to my form on here, I could go in and I could do a variety of things. I could go in and I could just start making like some small balls of clay like that and kind of pressing them in between. And of course I would finish off with my swirls. But I could just go in and kind of level that out, kind of even that out. Try to bring it all the way to the top. And try to make sure that the coil that's facing the bowl is the one that's, the one that looks a little bit nicer, because that's the one we're gonna be seeing. I'm gonna go in with my slip again, which is just really, really watered down clay. And I'm going to attach my next piece, making sure that you're not only pushing it into the form, but you're pushing it into the center. So this is gonna be my start. I'm gonna carry in, I'm gonna bring 2 more in here. I might go in and just do 1 coil that connects to all of this. But I think you guys can kind of see the start of these forms. And as we progress in class, I'll help you guys to mold them into the form that you choose.